progress can be as much of a blessing as it is a curse in the car world, and few brands know it as well as Porsche. I mean, you know, for a brand so rich in heritage and sporting pedigree, they are really held to the opinions of their purist fans and followers, and they've struggled over the years to innovate and release product lines that deviate from what they're best known for. But it's inevitable. The car world has to go electric, and therefore Porsche has to go electric. And that's why we're in this, the Taycan Turbo S, the top spec. So in the old money, this car's got the equivalent of around about 760 horsepower. But what I really want to find out is it a Porsche? Now, like I said, this is the Turbo S, so it has a 0 to 100 speed of, get this, 2.8 seconds. You know what's coming. Let's put that Sport Plus. Fast. Very, very fast.
If I have to be really honest, I think it's too much car for me. I've been doing these standing starts, the 0 to 100 starts. I've done about 6 of them in a row, and the acceleration is so powerful and so brutal. It's got more torque than a Tesla S, don't forget. It's over 1,000 Newton meters of torque. So yeah, it packs a wallop, and I've driven a Tesla and it feels more brutal than that for sure. It really would be a car that you could drive very comfortably, long range. You've got great visibility. Awesome to have this glass roof. This glass roof is not, it's just open all the time. It doesn't have a cover that you can close it off, but I kind of like that. It looks really cool. But yeah, awesome visibility all around the car. Comfortable. You've got great side supports, bolsters here on the seats. Legroom, you've got good legroom front and rear. It would be a bit cramped if you had to go 4 up with adults on a long drive, as to be expected for a sports sedan. And this air suspension is just beautiful, even on its lowest setting. It is compliant, and obviously the electric drivetrain is quiet. So yeah, a pretty nice car to go on a long drive in, particularly on roads that are less than perfect. It's it just makes really short work of those, and makes it a lot less fatiguing on the body to drive on cornery, windy, chattered roads.
Let's get all of the EV nerdy stuff out of the way. Battery in this is a 93 kilowatt hour battery. That's 7 less than, say, a Model S Tesla, but importantly it gives you the 400k range that kind of everyone really needs for EVs to become mainstream, really. Sure, if you're doing 0 to 100 standstill starts all day long, that's going to be greatly compromised, but just tooling around town, you can achieve 400 kilometers on a full charge. The real game changer, of course, though, is the rate at which the Taycan can charge. So this has 250 kilowatt charging capability, and it'll be going to 300 kilowatt later on in the year. That means that you can take this car from a 10% charge all the way up to 80%, gaining, you know, a good 300 kilometers along the way in terms of range, and that'll only take you 20 minutes. So if you think of the time you spend on a long journey, say, you know, Auckland to Wellington, or a 1,000-kilometer journey or something like that, you're going to stop along the way and go to the toilet, have a coffee, stretch the legs, and, you know, that 20 minutes is pretty much all you need to top this vehicle up to make sure that you're going to have enough range and get you there. And that is absolutely the turning point in terms of, you know, mainstream EV adoption. So yeah, it's obviously in one of the more advanced and more expensive electric vehicles now, but it's definitely a nod to where things are going to go really, really quickly. So you will expect to see that technology in much more affordable cars probably in the next couple of years.
So with all of the crazy driving out of the way, I can actually sort of just absorb this interior, and it is a lovely interior. Lots of blacks and greys. It's sort of pretty standard for a German car, I guess, but it's minimalist, and I do actually really like that. You know, just a big flat fascia across the front of the dash there, with lots of glass and sort of shiny black. Looks really, really good, and that's something that we're seeing across all of the Porsche models now, and it's a huge improvement over past interiors. The infotainment system, really easy to use. It's, you know, if you can use a smartphone, you can use that. It's very, very basic to find everything that you need, which is good. And another touchscreen down here for all of your heater controls, and you can actually sort of toggle what's on the main screen from down here, as well as touching the central screen as well. You've also got a full color display here in the instruments, and that is really clear, and customize the display here so you can have a full map, or you can display things like your all-wheel drive proportioning and torque vectoring on one side, or you can have your drive mode, so your normal or sport plus sort of indicator on the other side, and you can scroll through any number of things, your media, G-force, you know, all of that sort of stuff which you would have come to expect on a Porsche.
It is a deeply impressive car, and I think where it impresses me most is the handling characteristics and how it can perform on a twisty road. I've taken it on, you know, some familiar back roads for me, and given it a pretty hard time, and you know, I wouldn't be confident in driving at the pace that I did on those roads in a Tesla Model S. In fact, I don't think a Tesla Model S would even be able to go around those roads consistently for more than, you know, 15 minutes before it sort of, you know, overheated the battery or overloads itself, and they kind of go into a limp mode almost. This, it seemed like it was far beyond my capabilities as a driver. You got to remember that this has over 1,000 Newton meters of torque, so more torque than a Tesla Model S. And putting all of that down as you exit the corner, it takes a fair bit of commitment from the driver to do that. But when you do, man, it just hooks up and fires you out of the corner like nothing else. In fact, on a windy road, I'd be as bold to say it's the fastest car I've driven. And I've driven some fast cars. You know, I used to always sort of say on a public road, you know, a good hot hatch with compliant suspension can be as fast as, you know, a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. This has the power and torque of a Ferrari or a Lamborghini with the compliant suspension and the visibility all around. You can look at every corner in the car, you can put it where you want to. Is it a 911? No, not in the same way that it doesn't dance, and you can't, it's not the driver making the car do everything that you want it to do. It's more the car bringing the driver along for the ride. The Taycan does understeer when you come in really hot, which is easy to do with all of this power, 750 horsepower. It's very easy to come in a bit too hot into a corner, and it will sort of start to understeer on initial turn-in. That four-wheel drive, if you've got the balls to put your foot down and get those four wheels hooking up and pulling you out of the corner, they will do that. But it's not like a 911 where you can come in and sort of feel the back end of the car sort of moving around and pivoting. This just wants to sit flat. Once you've got that turn in, you can put your foot down and it will just spit you out of the corner so quickly. So yes, I think point A to B, it's probably as fast as a 911 in the right hands, but it doesn't feel the same as a 911. It's probably not quite as engaging as a driver's car, but it is engaging, but it's just quite a different way. Drive features, well, yeah, I love the fact that Porsche have kept it really simple for such a, you know, a high-tech car. They haven't overloaded it with just heaps of different drive settings and things like that. It's pretty simple. You've got 3 modes for your suspension and 3 modes for your drive settings. So, you know, standard drive mode dial on the steering wheel here, which is common for Porsche. You've got your normal, sport, sport plus, and individual, which is sort of, you can mix and match between, you know, customized settings. You've actually got an additional one here for range, so that you can flick that on, and that sort of governs the throttle and won't allow the car to top out over 140 kilometers an hour. And it also sort of just drives the wheel, instead of driving all 4 wheels, it just sort of pulls the car along on 1 wheel, which just helps reduce the power consumption. So it's pretty clever in that regard. But yeah, great that they haven't sort of made it overcomplicated for people who just want to get in and drive. Taycan pricing in New Zealand starts around the mid $200,000 mark. Turbo S, understandably, is a bit more than that. This one starts at $366,000, and obviously you can tick a few option boxes and make it even more expensive than that if you like. Now, I think you have to sort of address the elephant in the room, and that price difference between the Taycan and a Model S is considerable. But I think you're getting so much more of a car with this. It's, for a start, you're going to pay a premium for the Porsche badge on the front because it's a Porsche. It's an accomplished, proven performance brand. But it doesn't disappoint either. It's absolutely true to all of those attributes that people find appealing to the Porsche brand. This has zero compromise because of its electrification. If anything, it's better for it.
So, is it a Porsche? Is it a car that's gonna enrage or be beloved by the purists? I think the answer is yes, absolutely. It is a Porsche, and in fact, I'd say it's more Porsche than a Cayenne has ever been. and that's a great SUV. I mean, that's practically a sports car on stilts. But this, despite its electric drivetrain, is everything that makes Porsche great. It is a driver's car. In fact, you have to be a pretty dab hand at the wheel to get the most out of this thing. It is ridiculously fast around a corner, and ridiculously confident, inspiring as well. And that's just something that you don't get from a Tesla. Sure, a Tesla is fast in a straight line, but it's kind of, you know, that's easy to do with, you know, instant torque and plenty of power and an electric motor. Anything will go fast in a straight line. Making something that has a 600 kg battery slung to it go around corners as well as any sports car on the road, yeah, that's something quite different.